Hey,
Hey,
hey, look at that.
hey, yo.
You know, when you have one finger pointing at somebody else, you have three
Mm-hmm.
fingers pointing back at you. I bet you didn't know that,
Okay.
did you?
Yeah, I didn't. That's great. Thanks for letting me know that.
You are
Unless you
welcome.
point like this, because that's super weird. But
That, yeah. Hey, man. Or point it at the ground.
oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What are you thinking?
Unless you're one of those people that point like this,
Have you ever met
because I do
anybody like
know
that?
people.
Listen,
Yes,
listen.
I know people who point like this. They go, that person over there says this. That they literally point like that. I know a couple of people. I grew up with a couple of people that pointed like that.
They're pointing all their fingers at you.
They point everything. Yep,
Yep.
at wherever they point.
Maybe both hands.
Okay, maybe.
Oh my.
That's exactly, see, easy. You said that's why you knife hand when you point.
That's why you knife hand.
Yep,
You're the host.
exactly. Raise his hand. Yes, yes, easy. Are you one of the people that I grew up with that pointed with their whole hand? Was it maybe you? Because I think it might have been.
That's great.
Yeah.
Welcome to Don't Worry Wednesday,
Yep. Welcome.
where
Thank you.
Static P is the host, but you wouldn't
Oh,
even
that's
know it.
right. Yeah. Hey, we're just having fun.
We
That's
are,
the thing.
and we're looking
Awesome.
good
Hey
while we do
guys,
it.
I will host now. Welcome to the show. Welcome to Don't Worry Wednesday, the show where we talk about whatever you're dealing with. You know, in this life we have problems. Can't get around it. It's gonna happen.
Hmm. Hmm.
No matter how many problems you solve, you're gonna have another one. But that's a good thing. Regardless of how good it is, though, it's still hard. So we're gonna help you the best we can by being friends, encouraging you, and just giving some, general advice based on our experiences. Now we can't promise that they'll be helpful, but we can try. You know, we aren't professional psychologists, psychiatrists, or anything along those lines, but we can give you our best um, and best knowledgeable and wise answers that we can come up with. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, that's what we're here to do. A lot of times you guys know how to solve your problems yourself, to be honest, but having a little bit of encouragement or a different perspective on things can really move you along and, you know, um, give you a better attitude about the whole ordeal at the
Hmm.
least. So yeah, this is Don't Worry Wednesday, where we stop worrying. Feel free if you want to submit a topic, you can put it in the chat here, but also it would be recommended that you also go to our don'tworrywednesday.com that Princess posted. You can just click on that link or type it in the address bar, and it will take you to a website where you can just click one button and start typing your topic. The topic, I think the button is called Submit a Topic, isn't it?
It is. Yep. If you go to
Yep. Okay, that's what the button
don'tworrywednesday.com,
says. Yep. Don'tworrywednesday.com.
don'tworrywednesday.com.
No apostrophe, because the web browser apparently doesn't accept apostrophes. So you just have,
No, I
yeah,
dare you to put an apostrophe in there.
yeah. See what happens. I hope it takes you to Google and Google like says, "Hey, did you mean this website?" And it takes you to the right place. That'd be nice. Um, but yeah, that's what I got. Cool. How you guys doing today? It's a nice day. Maybe not outside, but it's still a nice day to be alive. How you doing, Joe?
Man, if I was any better, I'd be twins.
You were any better, you'd be twins.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I believe
Yep.
gravity. I
Because then
believe
there'd be
gravity on
two
that
of
one.
me to deal with all this nonsense that you got me doing on this show.
Me? I didn't press record. Let me press record on Cubase. Are you recording?
I've been recording this whole time. I've been recording
You've been
since I was
recording for
born,
way
man.
too long. Yeah. Yeah. Well, now I'm recording too. Cool.
Way to go, man.
Thanks. All right. Well, let's go because we didn't even start the show yet. So why don't we start? Just start right off the bat.
All
Uh,
right.
I think Princess recommended we start with a certain topic. What was it? Was it? I don't
It
want
was
to say it
Frednick.
because it was Frednick. Okay. All right. Well, let's start with Frednick's topic then.
Let's do it.
Here we are. This was posted 6 days ago. Cool.
I noticed when
That's
I look over
interesting.
at my other screen, it looks like I'm looking at the chat.
Oh, it does.
It does.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's
perfect.
Cool. It's perfect.
So then
You're
I can just
perfect,
be
man.
like, yeah.
I like it. I love you, Joe.
I love you too, Ryan.
Yeah. I love you guys in the chat too. You guys are awesome. Princess, I also love you. You all get my love today.
We all
tomorrow?
Get some static love, man.
I don't know.
Static love.
Awesome.
My favorite time of day.
Favorite? Oh, I thought you said my favorite type of love, but it's my favorite time of day. Static love. All right. Well, I guess it happens every day for Joe. He's lucky. So
yeah.
Awesome. So this is from Frednick. Frednick, you are in the chat. Awesome. Perfect. So this is titled Reconnecting with Awkwardness.
Is that the one?
And Princess is going to do the honors of reading it for us.
Reconnecting without awkwardness.
Oh, it is without? Oh, well, whatever. I mean, it's the same thing. It's like the same topic. Whether it's with or without, it's like the awkwardness is there. You're trying to reconnect without it, but it is there, right? Or is it like I have trouble connecting with people when it's not awkward?
Do you have that trouble,
sounds
Ryan?
like something I would say.
Well, I'm going to read the topic so you can find out.
Oh,
all right, reconnecting without awkward. Go ahead.
All right, there. It's on the screen for you now, Princess.
I'm house sitting for some friends with my sister for a week. She has gotten back on Monday after being away for almost a year at a DTS. The things she's pursuing right now are different than the things I am. Because she's been gone for so long, she's changed, and I don't know quite how to talk to her. I don't want things to be awkward, but I want to be able to talk to her normally. What do you recommend?
Yeah. Just a quick question. What does DTS stand for? I'm sure a lot of people know. I just don't know.
Department of
Treasury.
Transportation Services.
Sounds
accurate, but it's not it, Joe. I don't think that's right.
Also, an update on the topic is the week is over, as was submitted almost at the end of last week. That they have reconnected, but I still think it's important for people who have trouble, or even in the future, how to help yourself get over such a thing. So
perfect. Oh, disciple training school.
Cool.
Training school. Okay. Neat. Okay.
Nice.
That's perfect, Kat. That's it. Department of Triceratops swag. So anyways, yeah, this is a great topic. I am curious, Frednick, if you would be willing, how did you solve this problem yourself? What did you find that was successful? What did you find that maybe wasn't successful? But yeah, please feel free to share. If you've already been through it, it might help some other people in case they ever encounter something similar, where you're just trying to reconnect with someone and it's super awkward. And they're a lot different than they used to be, that sort of thing. So if you would like to type that in the chat, I think that'd be helpful. Next, I'm just going to get out of Joe's way and see what he's got to say, because I know that he's definitely reconnected with some old friends of his in the recent past. And I don't know if it was awkward for him or not, but let's see what he's got to say.
It can be awkward. And like my friend Ryan always says, embrace the awkward.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. He does always say that, doesn't he? I mean,
I do say that.
It's pretty incredible. But, you said here, Frednick, yes, it's part of WYAM. I'm wondering also, like Princess, what is WYAM? Why are you magical, right?
Instead of young
Why you are magical?
So it's not YMCA, it's WYAM.
Anyway, Frednick, I'm sure you will help us understand what this actually is, rather than us speculating. But yeah, reconnecting with somebody you haven't seen in a while or talked to in a while, it can be really, really awkward. And especially if it's been a long time. And it's really interesting. I remember, gosh, I just reconnected with a friend. This is going to tell you how old I am when I tell you this story. Now, I didn't see him, but we reconnected on the phone. And we were talking on the phone, and it was like, we were talking, it's like, when was the last time I saw you? And I was like, man, the last time I saw you, you were helping me move. And that was like 17 years ago.
It's kind of awful because it's like, hey man, would you help me move? And then they move. It's like I never talk to him again. Like
I know, right? This seems so rude.
It does.
It totally seems rude. But yeah. Oh, Youth with a Mission. Okay, it's
YWAM. Okay.
YWAM. Youth with a Mission. Cool. So anyway, yeah. But even then, you know, depending on who it is, maybe you don't even skip a beat. Now, in this case, with my friend, a lot has happened to both of us in the last 17 years. You know, both of us have opened and closed multiple businesses. Both of us have been, well, he was already married. He got divorced. He had like 5 kids and then got divorced. I got married and then divorced. Well, in the process of divorce. And so there was a whole lot of catching up we could do. And it was really funny because the reason we reconnected was because years ago we had done some music projects together, and we had played out in different bars. He used to DJ a lot at bars around the area. And I'd go and we'd do open mic nights, and what he would do is he'd have me come up and sing first to make everybody more comfortable to go up there, you know, because it's like that first person who goes up to sing karaoke, like it's always like, unless you find a real showboat in the audience, you know, that, and then they're going to be up there like half the night anyway. But he would have me, if it was going to be kind of slow or whatever, and he was having trouble getting people to come up, he'd be like, just come up and get the ball rolling, you know, do a song, maybe really 2. Smart. Yep. So I was kind of like his wingman, right, on when he was DJing at different clubs and stuff like that. So it was kind of fun. But he contacted me, and he was like, hey, I've got a handful of shows lined up for this summer, and it's going to be like a certain amount of money per weekend, and it's just Saturday night for like 4 hours, you know. Do you want to bring your band out? And I'm like, I'm not in a band anymore. So I called him, and he messaged me on Messenger, right? And he's asking me these questions. And then I was like, dude, I'm not in a band anymore, but I could probably make a few phone calls and put together a band. But I mean, I don't know if it's going to be worth my time for that amount of money to go all the way over there. It was going to be like an hour and a half drive or something, you know, there. And that's one way trip, and then back, you know, to do this show. And I'm thinking, man, drumming, a drummer, which means I got a lot of stuff to carry.
That's a lot of stuff to carry.
Just got a lot of stuff to take down and set up and take down again and then set back up when I get home, and, you know, all kinds of stuff. And it just, to me, it sounds like, I don't really want to do this. But I really want to reconnect with my friend. So we ended up talking, and, you know, we talked for probably a good couple hours, you know, just catching up and everything. I had another time when I hadn't been, it was really funny. I had this friend that taught the RCIA class when I was becoming a Catholic. RCIA is the class for adults that are looking into becoming Catholic. And I took that class back in 2017. And, you know, we got to be friends, and I had talked to him maybe for a month or 2 after that got done. So in 2017 was the last time I talked to him, and I reconnected with him this past summer. I just showed up at the church. I hadn't been to that particular church in a long time, and I showed up there and for a mass, and he was there, and he came up. He's like, oh my gosh, you know, I haven't seen you in forever. And, you know, it was really, really cool. So a lot of times, especially if you have a good relationship with someone, it's going to be a really, really cool experience when you're reconnecting. At least from what I've had happen to me. Even if I was nervous about it, there was really no reason to be. Because either you pick up right where you left off, or you're really happy to see each other. And in this case, I mean, this is your sister. So unless you have some like standing feud with your sister, it would probably be a really, really cool thing. Now, it might be a little awkward at first, but the best thing you can do, if you're prepared, you can just get good at asking questions. And in this case, it'd be pretty simple. How was it? How was your trip? How was the stuff that you were doing? You know, how was DTS? How was, you know, you have questions you can ask that are going to really help move things along. And then, you know, they can ask questions to you, you know, all kinds of great stuff. But even if it's awkward, I have found that there's really nothing to fear when you're reconnecting with a friend or a family member who you haven't seen in a while. Because most of the time, it's going to be just fine. I've even reconnected with enemies years later. People that didn't like me at all, and I didn't like them back. Both. And, you know, we'd run into each other. And all the stuff, the reasons we didn't like each other, this was like, we didn't like each other back in high school or something. And so it was like all that stuff was gone away, and we had so much life experience since then, you know, that none of that stuff really matters anymore. And we'd run into each other. And it was hilarious because this one kid who didn't really like me, we had gotten in a car accident with each other in high school.
Wow.
And so that's part of the reason we didn't like each other. Because, you know, messed up his car, whatever. And he was mad at me. So he actually when we ran into each other, he said, "All right, man, drive safe." But anyway, you know, it might feel awkward, but once you get to that moment, it's probably not going to be awkward. One of the best things, though, you can do is just get the thought in your head. One of the things I have to say to myself when I'm seeing somebody, when I'm meeting somebody or going to talk to them or whatever, I just say to myself over and over and over, "I love you, I 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 love you." And I'm thinking of them. I'm not thinking of myself. I'm thinking of them when I'm saying this, right?
I love me.
Exactly. But I say, "I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you." And what that does is my countenance is different. You know, I just appear different. If I start thinking to myself, "I can't stand you, I can't stand you, I can't stand you," you know, like then I'm not going to be all that excited to see him. I'm going to be kind of upset. So what's going on in your heart and in your mind is going to translate into that experience really well. So I'm glad you've reconnected, Frednick, and I'm glad I'm assuming things went well. Was it did Frednick say in the chat how it went? Okay.
Yep.
Good. I didn't see that part.
I was going to repeat it.
Perfect. Then I'm going to turn it over to you. You can repeat it and you can do your part.
Okay, sure.
Because it's going to be cool. It's going to be way better than mine.
I don't know about that. Thanks for starting off.
I promise.
I think you said a lot of great things. And you're right. I think, you know, in the end, what's to fear? I mean, worst case scenario, they're not your friend. It's like that's kind of how it was before you tried to reconnect in the first place. So worst case scenario, nothing. It's really different. But anyways, Frednick said, "I guess we just started talking about things that we had in common. We watched a few movies together. We both set off the burglar alarm a couple of times. I don't exactly know, or I don't know exactly." So, you know, I think that's it really. I think you got the right, obviously it worked out, Frednick, for you. But that's a good example. it's kind of just about you being yourself and having fun, right? You think about a lot of your friends. How did you make them? A lot of times, how do you consider your friends? How did you gain them? Most of the time it's through having fun, right? You guys had a fun time together. The truth is, the people we like most in this world, the people the friends we call our best friends, the friends we look towards the most, are the friends that make us, I don't know, the most happy about who we are. You know, I have a saying, it doesn't matter. What matters most is not what you look like, but what others look like to themselves when you're around them, right? What matters most is not what you look like, but what others look like to themselves when you're around them, right? And if you look back, that's probably true. You look at your best friends, you look at the friends that you have, the ones that you like the most are the ones that make you feel the best about yourself. You want to be around them because they make you feel good, right? And so I think having a fun time is a very classic and easy way to make a friend. Because if you have a fun spirit and people like connect with you on that fun level, then you're solid. If they're not a person that likes to have fun, it can go the other way. If they're in a bad mood, right, and you're trying to have a fun time, they might just hate you instead. So you got to be careful. Really, I think the ticket is to make them feel good, right, and make them feel good about themselves, right? Not just make someone feel good, but make them feel good about who they are inside. Of course, when you're reconnecting with someone you haven't met in a long time, or maybe it's a stranger you haven't really talked to ever, but you've always wanted to have a conversation with them, etc., it can be hard to necessarily know, especially if they've changed a lot, what exactly they are. To like what you compliment them on. How do I compliment this person? I don't know anything about them. And so you can easily fish for those type of things by having conversations, having a fun time, just talking things out and noticing things that they say, or noticing perspectives or views that they have, right? And pointing out what you like about it. I would say that a good story of mine is when I was invited to a campfire, to hang out at a campfire with a bunch of friends. But they weren't my friends. I didn't know a single one of them except for one person who I had met in college briefly, right? So I was going to this place to meet with a guy I didn't really know that well and a bunch of his friends, and I was showing up like last to the party, right? Which was okay, but it was like that was just how it was going to be because I was working, and then I got off work, I fixed up my stuff, and then went. And so I knew it was going to be a little bit late. And at first I wanted to say no, right? Because as soon as it was offered me, I was like, oh, that's going to be awkward. That's going to be weird because I don't know any of these people. What am I going to do? Go over there and just sit there next to a campfire and not say anything to anybody? Like, that's going to be super, super not fun. Like, that is not what I want to do with my evening, right? But in spite of that, I decided to say yes, right? Because he asked, I wanted to be there for him because he asked, and I wanted to be a good friend, even though I just met him. And also, it gets me outside of my comfort zone, so therefore it is probably good for me, right? And so I chose to do it. I went to this campfire, and when I arrived, I was like, I pulled up in the driveway, turned my car off, and I didn't step out of the car yet, and I just psyched myself up, and I said, you know what? I'm gonna go out there and act like I'm everybody's best friend. I'm gonna act like I know these people. I'm gonna be like, hey, what's up, man? Hey, how's it going? Like, oh man, I can't say long time no see. I could as a joke, but it wouldn't work right. But just go out there, have some energy. Don't be the guy in the corner. Don't be the guy that sinks down and doesn't talk to anybody unless they talk to me. Go out there and talk to people. Go out there and, just, don't you know who you are, man? You're Black Static. Get out there. That was what I would tell myself back then. So I got on my car. I walked up and I was like, hey, how's it going? Yeah, hi. And immediately there was this guy that we just hit it off. Like, I don't remember. I said something, he said something. I made a joke back that was like and it was just the whole night we were bouncing off of each other, and it was so perfect. And we were on the same wavelength of jokes. And I didn't even know this guy, right? and we were just having a blast. If I had went out there without that energy, if I went out there with the energy of like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing, oh, it's gonna be awkward. I don't know anybody. I probably should just be quiet and not say anything unless they say hi. If I went out with that energy, I never would have made that friend. I never would have had that great time, and I wouldn't have had this story to tell. I would have had an opposite story to tell, and it would have stunk, right? So me and this other guy, we hit it off, and we got each other's like phone numbers and emails because we just loved each other. Unfortunately, the friendship didn't. It never went in a bad direction, but we kind of just lost touch, right, over time, and uh, and that's okay, and that's okay. But I'll tell you what, that guy is awesome. If we ever got together again, we would just bam, click right away because we are on the same wavelength of like just our humors, our excitement levels. They're very similar, and we just jive really well, right? But I would have never known that if I didn't try, right? If I wasn't in a position where I was so afraid where I couldn't try. So as Joe was saying, there's nothing to be afraid about. You can just do it. And I would say, bring some excitement to it. Bring a level of excitement with you when you go to do it. If you're going to reconnect with somebody, don't reconnect without that level of excitement. Let them know you're excited to see them, to meet them, right? That will automatically make them feel better about themselves, right? How do you feel about yourself when someone comes up to you and or how do you feel about yourself like when someone comes to you and they're like, hey man, how's it going? Oh yeah. Versus when someone looks at you and then doesn't say anything and then they walk away,
Or they
right? How do you feel
grunt.
about yourself? Yeah. Yeah, they grunt, right? Or whatever, right? Or how do you feel about when someone comes up to you and says, "Hey, how's it going?" Versus when they go, "Oh, hey, how's it going?" You know? When people come to you with a smile on their face, right? An honest smile on their face, and they're excited to see you. You can feel that they're excited to meet you and to be with you. You immediately feel way better about who you are inside. You feel way better. And so it gives you that sense of comfort and joy to respond well. And that really helps connect people. So whether you're connecting with a stranger or you're connecting with someone you haven't connected with in a long time, I would say it's really the basics. Smile, right? Put a smile on. Let them know you're excited to see them, and just enjoy them. And have fun. And if you can, bounce off of them back and forth. Like, they make a comment, and see if you can make the comment even better by adding your own touch, right? Not like you're one-upping them, but you're making them better, rather. You're giving them that chance to just like, have that sense of humor. So have fun, and enjoy each other, and do your best to make them feel good about who they are. It's basic, but it's basic, but it's not known. It's not well known, right? It's easy, but it takes practice. And the more you do it, the better you get at it. But anyways, I've talked for long enough. Joe, did you have anything else you wanted to follow up with?
No, man.
Awesome.
You covered everything that I wanted to cover, plus.
Perfect. Cool. Well, all right. Thank you so much, Frednick, for giving us this topic. I know that you already solved it. Thanks for putting in the chat how it went for you. Sounds like you guys had fun together, and that's awesome. So yeah. Let's move on to the next. Hey.
Let's
Frednick,
move
you're
on.
awesome. Love you, man.
Thank you. Thank you for the topic.
Yeah. All right. So, we got an anon one.
We do.
Yeah, anonymous one. We're gonna go ahead and do that one next. I guess. Yeah, this is gonna be an interesting one. This one is from an anonymous. It is titled "Guy to Guy High School Confession." Guy to Guy High School Confession. So, I'm excited to do this one. I'm excited to see what everyone has to say. Just keep in mind, anonymous, this chat is a safe place. You don't have to worry too much about people hating on you for your gender or your interests or whatever, right? The rule here is to love, basically, and everybody in the chat follows that. I can tell you that. We never even asked them to, but everybody in the chat is so accepting and so lovely and so loving. So I just want to say, chat, you guys are awesome. I love you, seriously. Like, it's so awesome that we never even tell people how to act. They just act that way. It's so cool. We got a good community here. It's so cool.
Yes.
Anyways,
very, very true.
Yeah. So Guy to Guy high school confession. If you would do the honors, please read it for us, Princess.
Things have been a bit tough lately. I'm in high school, so I've started to develop romantic feelings. For one person in particular, I've had my eye on him for a while. The only problem is I'm a gay guy, and I have no idea how he feels about me. I have no idea how I should go about this. I'm not fully out yet, and I feel that if I put myself out there and he doesn't swing that way, then he'll make fun of me. Or will tell people, then soon the whole school might know. I know this might not be exactly your guys' forte, but regardless, I'd appreciate any help you guys can give. From Anonymous.
Awesome. Yeah, this is a good topic, honestly. There's a lot of things I want to say right off the bat. But I'm going to reserve some of that for later. But this is not an easy situation to be in, right? This is hard. No matter whether you're a girl or a guy liking a guy or a girl, right? No matter what it is. When there's romance involved, when there's these feelings of like, man, I really, really, really want this person to like me and I could totally mess it up. This anxiety is tough, So I mean, I can relate to this. There have been many times in the past where I've had this same scenario. I'm straight, but same scenario of just like, man, I really like this person, but I don't think I can say anything to them because they're just gonna laugh at me, and and that's the way I felt about myself because I really had a low self-esteem. But many years later, I looked at it and said, they wouldn't have laughed. They probably just been like, oh, that's weird, dude. Like, okay, I don't know how to say. I don't even know you. It's like, and that's kind of how I felt too. It's like I don't even know these people that closely yet. Some of them I did, some of them I didn't. But anyways, this is a great topic, and I'm looking forward to see what's said about it. I'm gonna go give it over. Wow, I can't speak today. I'm gonna give it over to Joe. I've got like dry mouth. I can't, like, I'm stuttering. My words aren't coming out. I just said words. So like, anyways, I'm having a tough time with English today. Just speaking in general. So
dude, it's not your fault. It's English's fault.
Yeah, we should all switch over to like gibberish or something. It's a lot easier. Latin is hard.
It is.
Latin is hard.
Is it as hard as English though? I mean, we grew up with English, so it's like
no. Yes and no. It depends. I guess certain parts of Latin are hard, but Latin probably is a little bit more ordered and logical than English. Probably the rules probably apply across the board.
There are
for the most part.
rules in English.
Which ones aren't broken?
I before E, except after C, and except for like 50% of the rest of the time, like that's...
Yeah, I before E, except after C, and then maybe
something
and way, and
neighbor
all throughout
and
way, and you always be wrong no matter what you say.
Exactly.
It's a very hard rule.
It's a very hard rule.
It's a tough
Thanks,
rule.
Brian Regan. I love you. He's a comedian. Neighbor and way. That was it. Neighbor and way. Honestly, Japanese is a lot more concise. It's not too hard to speak, but it can be at times too, especially when you get a really long word. But anyways, I'm gonna give it over to Joe for real this time. Good luck, Joe.
For real.
Good luck.
Wait.
Good luck.
Are you trying to insinuate that I don't have the ability to handle this topic?
Ability. I'm telling you, good luck with English. You got this topics. Dude.
Oh, with English. Yes. Yeah. I will do my best. But anyway, Anonymous, thank you so much for the topic, and my heart goes out to you. This is a complex issue because, for one, not only do you have the romantic feelings that I can totally relate to, being straight and having developed romantic feelings for people, and then being afraid to share those and being, whatever. I mean, it can be nerve-wracking and heart-wrenching, just that alone. Now, you have an added dimension to this where you're gay, but not fully out yet. So this person that you have romantic feelings for, it might be completely off their radar screen that you would have the possibility of having romantic feelings for them, because maybe they don't know that you're gay because you're not out yet, right? So you've kind of got a few different layers in here, and for me personally, because I don't have any experience with with not being fully out and dealing with that whole dimension, I can't even imagine how stressful that must be. Because, it seems to me, though, in today's culture, it probably depends a little bit on where you live. But I think people that are gay have there's a lot more acceptance now than there used to be, and I think that's great, because there's no reason to hate people. There's no reason to hate a certain group of people. There's no reason for that at all, because we're all people and we all experience life, right? And we all have enough hardships as it is. We don't need a mob of people, that hate us just because, for whatever reason. And it just seems silly to me. And it's atrocious. But as far as having romantic feelings for someone and then they've developed and everything, Meowlido said in the chat, general romance advice: make friends and get to know them first before sharing your romantic feelings. That's actually really smart. And I don't mean to say that, because Meow said it and it's actually smart. No, I'm saying that because it's kind of counterintuitive with our culture. Because there's this scary zone out there called the friend zone. And everybody's scared of the friend zone. I don't want to be in the friend zone. I got put in the friend zone and stuff like that. That's the best place to start a relationship, man. The best place. Because then you let these feelings grow. You let the relationship develop naturally. It grows as you get to know each other better and better and better. And that's how it should really be. If we skip all that and go straight to romance, guess what happens? It's like a firecracker. It explodes. You might have some fun for a little bit, and then it's over. And there's heartbreak and tragedy and pieces of body parts all over the ground. Well, no, not really actually that. But that's kind of what happens. There's destruction when it comes to that. But if you can get to be friends first and develop those feelings gradually, there's a lot better chance of it lasting and a lot better chance of it being real instead of just some kind of an infatuation that you have and that they have or whatever, right? So don't be afraid to be friends with this person first. Don't be afraid to just get to know them. Don't be afraid to just have a conversation. And it's okay to not share these romantic feelings with the world, with anybody. You don't have to tell everybody everything about what's going on inside you. There are some things that we ought to keep discreet. And this could be one of them. Because at this point right now, if you're not fully out yet and you go and explain to this person that you have romantic feelings for them, then you're kind of jumping 2 steps. You're putting yourself out there, you're coming out, and you're declaring that you have romantic feelings for this person, all in the same step. And now this person might like you back, but because of or they might develop a liking for you back, either way, but because of the drastic nature of those 2 steps taken both at once, it might throw them off guard and you might get some kind of weird signal because they might just be so surprised and taken aback that they might not know what to say, and then you might read that wrong and be discouraged, and there could be all kinds of crazy with that. Does that make sense? Hopefully. So I'm with Meow. I'm thinking it'd be good to kind of just sit back, relax, understand, hey, I feel this way. It's okay. But I don't need to tell anybody yet. I don't need to share this yet. And who knows where it's going to go? Maybe you'll find as you get to know this person better and better, you start to find some toxicity in there, or you start to find some kind of weird thing. And it's like, maybe you want to not have the romantic involvement. Because once you start down the path of romance, you're in this close getting to know each other, like you're forming a really close bond with somebody. And if they turn out to be psycho,
can happen.
Bad news, man. Tell you what. Ryan, you ever meet somebody and they turn out to be psycho?
Oh yeah, I have. Mm-hmm.
I never have.
Don't even lie, man. I know you have.
I've never, ever, never, ever.
Whatever, dude.
but anyway.
Liar. We still love them.
I may or may not have met anybody psycho.
We still love them. Yeah.
Yes. But anyway, as you get to know them, then it might become more and more appropriate. And you know what? You might develop that really close friendship. And then eventually, here's what's happened. Here's kind of how I experienced this, because I never told anybody how I felt. I tried telling people how I felt way early on, and I always just got rejected and made fun of. Kind of like what you're afraid of, right? But let me tell you, even that isn't the end of the world. Because you know why? Even though it's going to sting and it's going to hurt, it's going to sting something fierce, especially the first time it happens, it's going to make you stronger. And eventually you come to the point where, man, if somebody's going to make fun of me, who cares? I don't even care. Make fun of me. What are you going to do? You know? It just gets to the point where it doesn't even matter. People make fun of me. You know what? That's fine. I had to get to finally a point in one relationship where I was like, okay, there's nothing I can do that's going to ever please this person. No matter what I do, they're going to be angry at me. So I might as well just do whatever the heck I want, because they're going to be mad either way. And I don't care. I don't care anymore. Here's what's going to happen. I'm going to do this. I've got two choices. I pick choice A. They get furious. I pick choice B. They get furious. And you know what? So it doesn't matter. And you know what? If I do neither, they're furious. This is why it's good to get to know somebody very well. Because you can determine whether or not they're like that. So it's okay to take it easy. And it's okay to wait to tell them this stuff. And you can wait until you get to the point where you love them so much that it hurts. And you still haven't said anything. And you're just like, oh my gosh, it's just like burning me up inside and it hurts. And I would say, even then, if you can hold back, it's still okay to hold back. Because sometimes there's basically 3 different options when you profess your feelings for someone romantically. Either things go well and you start developing a relationship, and they like you back, and it's, hey, let's try this. Let's make a go of this. And hey, maybe it works. Great. Or another way is they could let you down easily and say, man, I'm really sorry. I don't have those same feelings for you. I still really like you. I still really care about you, but I don't feel that same way, and I'm sorry, but and it could go that way, or they could make fun of you. Those are basically the three options. There are probably other nuances within those options, but as far as my experience goes, those are about the three main ones. And no matter what happens, here's the thing. Anonymous, it does not change the value of you, no matter what. If you wait to tell them, and maybe you never tell them, and you just burn inside until eventually those feelings will pass, I promise you. The feelings you have are going to go away eventually. Whether you get into a relationship with this person or not, these feelings are temporary. They might last a while. They might last for years. But they will come to an end. And I know I share this with people who are my friends who have gotten married or are thinking about getting married. And it's like, okay, what are you going to do when you fall out of love with this person? Because it's going to happen. I remember hearing a married guy talk one time. He was like, love is not the secret to marriage. The secret to marriage is commitment. Because you fall in love with someone, and then, you're in love for a while, and then all of a sudden you've learned some stuff, and you guys go down your path, and you fall out of love with each other. And then, maybe something happens, you fall back in love with each other, and then by the time 50 years goes by, you've fallen in and out of love a dozen times. That's just how it goes, because that's just that's a temporary feeling. So, but it's not necessarily a feeling that you shouldn't pursue. It's okay. Tell you what, though, I've talked for a while. I'm going to turn it over to Ryan because I know he's got some good stuff. He's got some good or better stuff. And I can see that look in his eye. You see that one? Just the one eye, not the other one.
Is it this one?
Yeah, no, it was that. Yeah, that's the one.
It was this one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one that's the one that's closed. The one that was closed just then.
Whatever, dude. Okay.
Anyway, take it away, Ryan.
So yeah, honestly, I think Joe really said a lot of really great things. He covered a lot of what I would want to cover, honestly. First thing is, if you're gay, that's okay. In life, a lot of times we don't get to pick what we like and dislike. We just like and dislike what we like and dislike. Right?
The heart goes where it does sometimes.
Yes. And so, it's kind of interesting. In our society today, we identify people entirely off of what they like and dislike. Are you gay? Are you bi? Are you trans? Are you whatever, right? And trans or transgendered or that like isn't even necessarily, it can be considered a taste, but it's not necessarily. It's more of a, how do you identify with your gender? It's an interesting world we live in today because gender is so prevalent. So and for a good reason, but also for a bad reason, I think that there's some justification in publicizing it, but I think that at some point it ruins people's lives because we are not the summation, as a human being, what do I amount to? What's my value? It's not based on my gender, right? If I am straight, right, it doesn't make me any better or more valuable or worth more than someone who is gay, right? Or a lesbian or bisexual, right? It is what it is, right? I don't get to pick what I like. I like blueberries more than I like strawberries. I didn't choose that. How dare you? Yeah, well, clearly I'm a less valuable person, Joe. So, right? So Joe is saying we should love everybody, right? And that's true. I think that the world doesn't need so much acceptance as it needs more love. There is a difference between the two. right? But that's not really the essence of this talk, or this not talk of this topic. But my point is that if you're gay, right, I want to make sure you know that your value isn't based off of this experience. We have plenty of experiences in our lives. And who you are inside, who you are, you know, where's your heart? Who are you? You know, it's that interior life, that hidden heart that we cannot see, that makes up who you are, right? That doesn't even include that you're gay. That's just an experience, right? That's just something that you feel, right? And so I just don't want you to go down the path thinking that that's all that you are, or that's how you identify. Now, of course, that's terms that we use nowadays, but here's something that's really important to me. Let's say your mom doesn't know, right? Let's say your mom doesn't know that you're gay, right? Question is, do you come out to her or not? Well, here's a better question. Do you plan to have romantic experiences with your mom? Then does it matter if she knows? Right? If your mom doesn't need to, if you don't have any plans of having romantic experiences with your mom, then does it matter whether she knows or not that you're gay? No, because gay isn't what you are. Gay is something that you experience and you feel, right? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that much. And I'm trying to kind of downplay. I'm trying to lower the intensity, because I think that the intensity has been brought too high in our society. And I think there's a balance that's needed, right? So I want to give you that chance to consider, maybe if you are considering yourself as like this is a super important part of you, maybe down it back a little, because it is important, but there are more parts of you that are more important. How do you interact with people? That's more important than being gay. You know, how do you love on other people? Love isn't about gender. It's not even about feelings. It can be, but it's a whole lot more. Love, I mean, there's a lot of different ways to define it. One way is to desire the best for another person and being willing to do what it takes for them to get that, right? To desire the best for another person is far more important than, I'm sorry, but it's far more important than our feelings. Because as Joe said, our feelings come and go. They really do. They come and go. Our feelings are our emotions. They come at highs and then they come at lows. And I know you experience this, right? We all do. You might be angry about something, but someday that passes. You might be really happy about a project that you finished, but that only lasts a couple of minutes, and then you're on to, like, you know, you're over it. You know, it felt good, and you're glad that it felt good, but it's gone. And that's okay. That's good. It's good that the world works that way. It's a beautiful thing, right? We don't want to have to be stuck with one emotion for our whole life. But, you know, I don't know. Love is the same way, right? You say you might, you know, you really have strong feelings for this person, and that's awesome. It's good that you know that, and it's good that you're being cautious about it. Because here's the thing: this is a big decision, right? You're trying to pick someone you're going to live with the rest of your life, right? Think about that. What's the end goal of a relationship? To be with them forever, have a companion, right? To join in with them on your adventure through life. And you might look at the person and be like, yes, that is the person. But trust me, that takes a lot more study than just a feeling, right? And I'm not saying that you haven't done any study, Anonymous. I'm sure you have. But I just want to go along with what Joe said and what Meow was saying. Make a friend. You said, I fear that if I put myself out there and he doesn't swing that way, that he'll make fun of me or tell people, then soon the whole school might know. Well, if you have a fear about that, then I think you're not close enough with this person to enter into that relationship. Because if you're afraid they might make fun of you, then you don't know them enough to give them that opportunity. There's a difference between like self-esteem issues and it's like, oh man, I don't want people to make fun of me, so I can't talk about stuff or I can't make a joke or whatever. And saying, hey, I'm going to commit myself fully to this person for the rest of my life. That's not about self-esteem anymore. That's something entirely different. It's like going, oh man, I could be with this person for the rest of my life if I just press this button. But then again, that's the whole rest of my life, and I don't know if they might make fun of me for it, and now I'm just doomed. It's like it's a lot on your plate, right? So I would say get close to them and get to know them to the point where if you're really close friends and you know that no matter what you told them, they would be on your page with you, right? They wouldn't be trying to make fun of you. They'd be out there, trying to support you or trying to, even if they didn't agree with, with you being gay and they're just like, well, I'm not gay, so I'm sorry, I can't, we're not going to go out or anything, but they're still your friend, right? I think that's where you want to get to because that's way more important. It's way more important. In ancient Greece, I mean, where they developed, the 7 different forms of love, whatever it is, agape, amore,
Uh, Storge, agape,
agape, that's the one.
eros,
Yeah, agape.
and philia.
Okay. Oh, it was just 5, that's right. It was 4 and then it became 5. It was 4 and it became 5.
Storge, philia. Storge, philia, eros, and agape.
That's right. And then Christianity came a new form of love, and they actually created a new word for it, but I can't remember what it is.
That was agape.
Oh, was it?
Mm-hmm.
So were there only 3 and then became 4?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, okay. Okay. Sorry. Clearly I don't know what I'm talking about. But anyways,
I think
you could be right. Anyways, the point of the
could
thing is,
correct me if Ryan's wrong.
Back in ancient Greece, they said the highest form of love, of all the different kinds of love, the highest form is not romantic love. The highest form is friendship. Because friendship to them wasn't reliant upon emotions, right? It wasn't relying upon this feeling. It was something that you stuck through. You were there for that person regardless, right? And honestly, if we're gonna have a romantic relationship, we want all forms of love to be involved, right? We want everything. We want to be friends with the person. So start with friendship first. I think what Joe said is good. Get friend zoned, and then progress from there. I think that's probably the wisest way of going about this.
Princess has even more. Oh my gosh, look at all those.
So anyways, oh wow, okay. Eros, philia, that's right, philia. Storge, agape, ludus, pragma, and philiatuia. Wow, I was so bad with that. Philautia. Okay, well that's weird. Anyways, yeah, I'm done. I don't really have much more to say, but I hope that's helpful. It helps guide you in the right direction. Because I get that this is an anxious moment for you. It is for everybody in this scenario. And as Joe said, on top of that, you have this profession of being gay on top of it, so that makes it hard. So what I would say is take things slow. You don't need to speed things fast. You don't need to try to rush it. If you're invested in someone, then take your time. If you want to be with someone the rest of your life, then why are you trying to rush into that moment? Just take your time to get there because it's going to be the rest of your life anyways, right? So I get that feeling of like, man, I just want them to reciprocate. I want to feel them back. I want to feel them liking me back. I want to know if that's possible even, right? Because that's important. It's like, why am I pursuing this if I don't even know it's possible? Well, here's the thing. Instead of worrying about that, worry about loving them. Because what is love? Love isn't just a feeling. It is desiring the best for them. Become their friend, because that is not something that will go away so quickly.
Mm-hmm.
You could tell them, oh, I actually have feelings for you, and they deny you, they reject you, and then what? It's over. But if you make a friendship with them,
Mm-hmm.
that's way more important. It's way more important. Because what do you like? You like them a lot, but do you like them for the sake of yourself, or do you like them for the sake of them? And what I mean is, are you willing to like actually just give of yourself for them, right? The greatest form of love is to give yourself up for another,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's not about how you feel inside. Like, I want to pursue this because this makes me feel good. Sure, that's okay to do. That's okay to do in life. But it's way more romantic and way more loving, way more beautiful to say, I give this up. I give up what I want so that that person can be happy, so that person can feel joy, for that person's betterment, right? I give
Mm-hmm.
up the things I want. That's way more beautiful. If you start with that as your foot, you'll end up in a friendship, regardless of whether they like you or not. At least you'll be close to them and you'll have this friendship that is important. And then along those lines, someday you might profess and they might agree. They might say, yeah, me too. Or they might say, yeah, me not.
Mm-hmm.
But then at that point, it no longer matters what they say because you have already a dear friend,
Mm-hmm.
something worth having. So that's what I got. Joe, did you have anything else you wanted to cap off with?
Yep. Anonymous, we love you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, no matter what happens, it doesn't change your value. I think both of us said that already before. Whatever you decide to do, there's probably going to be strong feelings involved. You already are starting to develop these strong feelings. So, who knows what's going to happen? But you know what? Whatever happens, we love you. You're valuable. And you might listen to Life Might Take Us by Static P. Because you know what? Sometimes things change. In fact, things will change. I
Oh yeah,
promise.
there's no way getting around that.
The only constant is change, right? Like,
mm-hmm.
But that's it. You know, Anonymous, you're awesome. You are awesome. And like what Ryan was saying, don't forget that what you experience does not define what you are. Okay? Your feelings don't define you. So that's just something you experience.
Mm-hmm. You're not the summation of your experiences or your feelings.
Mm-hmm.
So
Exactly. So anyway, that's all I had. Anonymous, thank you so much.
yeah, really, thank you. Thank you for submitting this topic. I know that it's really hard in this world, so we really appreciate it. We love you, and yeah, thanks again.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on.
Moving on up.
But, okay. I'm gonna just get an order today. I don't even have to go down this list, which is fantastic.
It's kind of cool.
We're gonna do Ash next. Ash, are you still with us? Yeah, you're still with us.
She was right there.
Yeah.
We were just talking about whacking each other in the face with drumsticks. Well, whacking ourselves in the face with drumsticks.
Well, now I gotta go read through chat. No,
Now,
actually, I did catch that. Have you ever hurt yourself by whacking? I did read that. Yeah.
I've hit myself in the face with a drumstick that you play on the drums. I've hit myself in the face with a chicken drumstick, and with an ice cream drumstick.
Wow, all three.
The drummer and when it comes to drumsticks, I've like a normal drum set drumstick or snare drumstick, also timpani mallets, bass drum mallets, xylophone mallets. Those are smart. But yeah.
Yeah.
When you're a percussion major, these are the things that happen.
That makes sense.
You're getting way into it, and you're like, oh, yeah. Oh, really? Again?
The same eye.
The same eye again. Dang it.
Oh, great.
Yep. But
Awesome. Awesome.
So let's do Ash's topic. What do you say?
Yeah, we've got one from Ash here. It's titled Life's Good, so why do I not feel the same? Life's good, so why do I not feel the same? Princess will do the honors of reading it for us. Thank you, Princess.
You're very welcome. Recently, my best friend asked me how I was doing. I pondered the thought. I tried to figure out how I was doing, but I came up short and couldn't figure it out. So I just lied and told him I was fine. My life recently has been full of ups and downs. It's been like a roller coaster with a bunch of small bumps. When I told him I was okay, he told me that he didn't trust that. I jokingly said, "Oh, so you don't trust me?" He responded with, "I trust you, just not when you talk about your feelings. I think that you lie sometimes, so you don't have to worry yourself or anyone else." I was shocked by his response. That was the first time anyone had said anything like that. And he was right. Sometimes I do it so I don't worry anyone. Other times I do it because I want to pretend I'm okay. Or I just don't really know how I feel. It feels like I've been going through a lot, but when I look back, I haven't really. My life's been good. I've gotten close with my best friend. We call nearly every day and never fails to make each other laugh. He makes sure I'm all right and makes me know that I can always talk to him. Nothing majorly bad has happened to me. Nothing to throw me off course. But then why have I felt so tired and done? Not just mentally, but physically as well. I don't think it's depression, but I realize that I haven't really been like myself lately. I stay in my room all day, only going outside if I have to check the mail. I'm used to skipping breakfast since I'm not usually hungry in the morning, but I found myself not eating lunch until about 1:30, 2, or 3, compared to the usual time of 11 or 12. The other day, I even just skipped lunch completely and just didn't eat anything till dinner. My usual routine now is to wake up, get dressed, go out to the living room, get on my laptop, check what work I need to finish, and just start playing games. A little while later, I go to my room, I continue playing games until I have to go to class. Then I zoom through my work, go to another class, and then play more games. I'll eat, and then I'll usually go back to my room and mess around on my laptop more. Then eventually, when my dad comes home, I'll just go out there for a bit and then eat dinner and go right back to my room. I barely have a life anymore. And on top of all this, I barely talk to anyone anymore. I don't really talk to many people unless they text me first, and even then, I've been reading texts but just not responding. Maybe it's depression, but I don't have any reason to be depressed. And I still laugh and smile truly. I really have no idea what's going on. From Ash.
Ash, you're awesome. Thank you so much for sharing
awesome.
this. Man, I relate to this, of course. And I want to tell you pretty much probably everybody here relates to this. Very much so. So don't feel like there's something wrong with you just because this is your experience. I'll tell you what. It's fascinating. We all kind of go through this. I think that humans, we are animals, right? Are we not? We are animals. We are creatures of the land. And if you look at all the other animals, they have seasons. They have seasons of high time, seasons of low time, you know? And for everything, there is a season, as, Solomon once said. Everything has its place, everything has its season. And I'll tell you what, humans, it is very common. I mean, usually during winter, but not always, for us to have this time where we're like, I don't think I'm depressed, but I certainly am acting like it, you know? And it's like, what is going on? It's just, I can't get up, can't get myself to work. I'm not depressed. There's nothing going on. It's just like, I've got no energy, or, you know, it's just like, I'd rather just do nothing, you know? And it's, and I think we go through these seasons. And there might be more to it than that. I'm looking forward to see what Joe has to say, but I just want to start off with, don't freak out about yourself. Don't worry too much. It could just be a season thing. I know that I go through them, and I know that a lot of my friends do as well. So, but with that, I'm going to go give it over to Joe, see what he's got to say.
I've got a lot of things I could say, and I'm going to agree
Why
with
don't you
you.
choose some?
I will. I'll pick some stuff and I'll say it. How about that? That'd be good. Ryan, thank you for that. Ash, thank you so much for the topic, and thank you for being willing to share this. It's not easy, to share this kind of stuff. If it's bothering you, you might consider seeing a therapist, a psychologist, or a counselor, or somebody like that to talk about this type of an issue, because especially when we're confused, who knows what's going on? Princess has there in the chat, perhaps you're spending too much time plugged into your laptop too. I know that it can be easy to keep playing games all the time, but sometimes it's good to let yourself not be online, to take a break. And continues, I know that has helped me when I've started to retreat into myself, when I've wanted to apply myself to other things. Those are things. There are some physical things that you can kind of put on a checklist, okay? 1, how much water do you drink? 2, how much sleep do you get? And I see that you have in the chat, you get 8 hours of sleep, but still feel like you didn't sleep at all. And that's been going on for a few years. So maybe your sleep is not restful sleep, so there could be some things to check into there. Your diet, not only when do you eat, but what do you eat? Those are some things that you can take into consideration. Do you get exercise? That's another thing. Here's a sneaky one. Do you get angry? And I'll pause for effect. Dun, dun, dun. If you're not getting angry, if you're not ever angry about anything, there's a chance that there might be something happening. Okay? Here's the thing. If you're questioning these things, this is good. What's happening is you are taking stock of what's going on in you. And that's a healthy thing to do, okay? If something's a concern, it might be good to see a counselor and just ask. You might only see them for 1 or 2 sessions, and then you might just kind of get, whoa, hey, everything's fine. Here's the thing. I did not act depressed, but I was. I didn't realize how depressed until it started messing with my functioning ability. Like my day-to-day functioning life, right? And it was pretty crazy, and it was an eye-opening experience when I finally went and saw a therapist, and they did the anxiety and depression inventories where they ask you a whole bunch of questions and you answer them and whatever, and then they kind of score you. And my depression was extremely severe. Extremely. And I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming because of the questions she was asking and how I was answering them. And I even said in the middle of the questioning, I was like, man, this is depressing me just going through this. And she was like, I know, it's okay. We're going to get to a better place. It's going to be fine. But those were some of the things. She was like, so she asked me, how much sleep do you get? And I was like, 4.5 hours of sleep. She's like, that's not enough at all. You need to be getting at least 7. So she kind of chastised me on that. How much water do you drink? I don't know. She's like, then you need to drink more.
If I don't know is your answer, then you probably need to drink more is the response.
Right, exactly. So here's another thing. I've also kind of felt this way when I was bored. Now, bored doesn't necessarily mean that you don't have anything to do, because you can keep yourself occupied with Netflix or video games or whatever. You can keep yourself occupied in all kinds of ways. But bored to me is I'm not chasing anything productive. I don't have a goal. I don't have anything to, run after. I don't have some kind of goal.
you don't have that feeling of like, man, I'm alive.
Right, exactly. And it doesn't have
Yeah.
to be like a career thing or a college thing or a line of study or a course or anything. It could just be, in my case, for sometimes it was exercise goals. Might just help, you know, for a couple years I had the goal of being a black belt. And that kept me going for a while, you know, and so sometimes, you know, just some kind of a goal, and it can seem silly to the outside world. Like, why would you pursue something like that? It's a purpose. It's something to run after, right? But the sneaky one is the anger. And I see your comment, in the chat. I don't usually get angry anyways, but today and yesterday, me and one of my friends went off on this dude because he was just being a jerk and a bit of a perv. Okay. Ash, you say, I know that one of the symptoms of depression is things that usually give you joy don't anymore. And that's been kind of happening. But I could just be tired of doing those things. Or just have an art block or something, but still. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Could be any of those.
It could be. It could be a lot of things. And you know what? Some things happen in our minds and we don't notice until it's way past when we should have been figuring it out. And that's what I found out with my depression. I should have gone and seen a therapist a long time before I did. Because by the time I went, I had severe anxiety and extremely severe depression. And you wouldn't know it. You wouldn't have known it. Unless you were like really, really close friend of mine. And then you might have noticed. Ryan, you probably noticed.
I guess.
You guess.
I don't want to out you.
There are a handful of people, like 5, that might have noticed in that time. And most people wouldn't. Because I was just living. I looked just like normal. Just fine.
Mm-hmm.
But there was something building inside. And here was the thing. The anger one was big for me. I don't know if it's the same for you. Might not be. Because, you know, you'll have to talk to someone and get it figured out for you specifically. Right? But in my case, anger played a big role because what would happen is things would make me upset, but I had conditioned myself to suppress those angry feelings so quickly. Like immediately, as soon as something happened that made me upset, I would just be like, I would shrug it off as quickly as possible. I would just let it go as quickly as possible and just bury it. And it was to the point where I had been doing this for so long that I didn't even consciously know I was doing it. It was a habit. It was like knee-jerk reaction. As soon as something happened that made me upset, boom, I wasn't upset. And so my therapist was like, okay, here's what you need to do. You need to make yourself angry. Because anger, a lot of therapists will say, depression is frozen anger. We get angry about something and then we make it illegitimate in our minds. We say, I shouldn't be angry about this. I refuse to be angry about this. This shouldn't make me angry, because of whatever circumstance. And so we suppress the anger. And so she had me listen to angry music. She's like, listen to music that makes you mad because you need to make yourself mad. And you need to make yourself mad for long enough to express it. And I was like, this is a really weird assignment.
Yeah.
And she was like, I know, but this is what's going to help you feel better. I promise. This is going to move you forward because you're not expressing the anger. So I had to listen to music that made me angry. I had to watch things that made me angry. Any kind of movie about discrimination, especially racial discrimination, makes me boil. It makes me so mad. Any kind of discrimination just makes me mad because it's like the person didn't choose that, but you're choosing to discriminate against them. So I could watch movies like that. I could listen to music that was angry music. And then she's like, okay, when you're angry, do some exercise. You know, I have a heavy bag from martial arts. She's like, beat on that thing, punch it, kick it, do whatever. Play your drums, do something physical where you're exerting effort. And get your anger out through that. But let yourself feel the anger. So that was one of the things. Now, that was my particular situation. I'm not saying that's necessarily your situation. I'm just telling you what mine was, okay? You should probably talk to someone to figure out what specifically could be happening with you, okay? But either way, yeah, there may be cause for some concern. I don't know for sure. Maybe it could be as simple as, like Princess was saying, maybe just unplug for a little bit, you know? Could be what you're eating. Could be that you're not moving your body enough, you know? Like maybe you need to go take a walk, you know? Do some push-ups, do some stretches, do some yoga, do some tai chi, do some whatever, you know? And that could help you out. But to get to the bottom of it might require a couple appointments with a counselor. And I'm not a counselor, so I don't know. And plus, it takes a little bit of time to get to know each other, and they got to like kind of ask you certain questions and see how you're answering them, and kind of then they can dig into what might actually be going on. So anyway, Ash, I am so impressed that you're thinking about this, that you're noticing this about yourself, and that you're asking about it, because yeah, you're probably catching it. If it is a problem, you're catching it early, and that's great. Because if it goes really far down the road, then you got a lot of rebuilding and undoing to do. And that can be pretty difficult. So, I don't know. That's what I got to start. I'm going to turn it over to Ryan and see what he's got to say. So, Ryan?
Thank you. That was fantastic, Joe.
You're fantastic.
Thanks, Joe. I love you.
Mm-hmm. I love you too.
I've never experienced what Joe's experienced. I've never been to a therapist or anything like that. So I would take his word. I think it's very smart if you're experiencing this, if you're worried about it, if it's something that doesn't solve itself or you can't figure out how to solve, definitely go see a therapist and see what they've got to say. They'll do some tests and figure out or help you solve and get yourself in the right direction towards solving it if it becomes an issue. Here's my experiences that I can share, and I don't know if you'll be able to relate to them or not. First off, this isn't necessarily an experience, but this is something that I do as a just as a way of life. Okay. I'm going to start off by reading the beginning of what you said here. You said, recently, my best friend asked me how I was doing. I pondered the thought. I tried to figure out how I was doing, but it came up short and couldn't figure it out. So I just lied and told him I was fine. Okay, so I can relate to that in that people could ask me how I'm doing, and I would go like, how am I doing? How do I even, what does that even mean? You know, like, what do you want? Like, what?
Like, how am I doing what? How am I walking? Am I walking funny?
Yeah, how am I doing? So what I figured out to do, and that has helped me in life, not just helped me solve this problem of not knowing how to answer this, but actually legitimately helping me in life, is this. When someone asks me how I'm doing, it's an attitude check. Someone says, how are you doing? I go, boom, Ryan, hey, how are you doing? You get to choose right now. What's your attitude? That's how I respond to that question. So when someone says, how are you doing? I answer in my head. I say, well, how am I doing? What is my attitude? And on top of that, I get to pick my attitude right now. Because that's the truth. That is the truth. I could have just gotten into a car wreck and someone says, how are you doing? It doesn't matter what just happened to me. What's my attitude right now? Do I have a good attitude or do I have a crappy attitude? That's up for me to decide right there, right now, because someone asked. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Someone asks, oh, how are you doing physically? It's a different question. Like, oh, I'm a mess, because my arm's broken. But usually if someone asks me how I'm doing and my arm is broken, like, I would say I'm doing good, but my arm is broken. So we're going to have to go to a hospital. Whenever someone asks me how I'm doing, I 99% of the time choose to pick my attitude to be joyful, right? To have a good attitude, right? So, um, yes, if there was a car wreck, they'd probably be asking physically, but it's still for me an attitude check, right? Am I going to sit there and complain about my arm that's broken? Complaining doesn't change anything. Yes, I need to get to the hospital, but having a bad attitude is not going to do anything for my arm. I still need to have a good attitude when my arm is broken, right? If I want to be the person that I think is good, if I want to be the person I look up to, right? I could look up to, right? If I want to be an excellent person, having a crappy attitude about things is not going to help me a lot of times, right? It's not going to be that image of myself. So whenever someone asks me, how are you doing? It's an attitude check for me. Interiorly, I go, okay, attitude check. Where am I right now? Make sure I'm good. All right, done. Let's solve this. Let's make sure I'm good right now. Right? So when anyone asks me, I'm always doing great, fantastic, good, excellent, because I get to pick that. I get to pick that. No one gets to pick that for me. No one gets to set my legs on fire. They can set my legs on fire. But they don't get to pick my attitude. I get to pick that. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's my first response to this. And I say that to help you because it sounds like you're in the same boat as me, because up until that point, I had no idea how to answer that question. I would just say good no matter what anyone said, because I don't know what the question really meant. I don't know how to identify my, like, what's my state right now? I'm indifferent. What do I want to say to this person that's asking me? Indifferent? That's going to make them worry. If I go, I don't know, I'm okay, I'm meh. How are they going to react to that? They're going to get worried. They're going to start asking me a bunch of questions, asking me what's wrong. I don't want that. And they don't need that. And in fact, not only do they not need that, it's unnecessary. And it's so unnecessary because there's nothing wrong with me. I'm just meh. I'm not excellent. I'm just me, normal, nothing going on, nothing too exciting. But that's just so, huh? But then if I go, huh? They're going to be like, what's wrong? What happened? It's nothing. It's just nothing happened, like, so that was my predicament. Like, I don't know, like, just because I'm not doing good, like excellent, doesn't mean I'm doing bad. So I just use it as attitude check. Ash, I hope that helps. I hope you can do that too, because I found it fruitful. I found it when, to continuously ask myself how my attitude is and then choosing to have whatever attitude I think is right is a lot better way of living my life for me, at least, right? In my experiences. Continuing on past that point. As I said before, I think everybody has, we're animals. We have seasons. We have ups and downs. So it could be just a normal thing like that, Ash. It could be something deeper. It's better to get that figured out. And I like that you're asking these questions. One thing I would recommend is to continue asking these questions, but reserve time for solitude. This is similar to what Princess recommended. Unplug. It is super important in our lives that we have silence.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you something. You'll probably go, whoa, never thought about that. Without silence, there is no peace in the soul. Your soul cannot have peace without silence. You will be in a state of constant uproar, of constant search for something better to satisfy you. You will be in a constant state of anxiety, or something along those lines if you do not find silence. Peace and quiet is what we call it, right?
Mm.
If you can find time in your life for silence, you can allow peace to enter. Peace is the ability to remain calm in adverse scenarios. When things are aggravating, etc., it's okay to be aggravated, but at the same time as being aggravated, you're at peace. That is a thing, because peace is not an emotion. It can be considered one, but generally people don't consider peace as like an emotion, right? Peace is a state of being. Peace is a state of understanding and acceptance and allowance. And honestly, it takes a lot of fortitude. It takes a lot of self-trust, a lot of trust in the powers that be. Sometimes you can have both a warring mind and a peaceful mind at the same time. But I guarantee you that you're not going to get there if you do not invest in silence. And what do I mean by silence? I mean taking time to set everything aside and just be with yourself or be with God if you're religious and sit there in the quiet and contemplate. And at some point, now this might be years down the road, but that contemplation will turn into something even deeper. That is, there's no word for it, but it is more so the essence of silence. It's the ability, in religious terms, there was a digger in France. That was his job. He was a digger, and he would go to church every day and just sit there and kneel. And then after about an hour, leave. And the priest walked up to him and said, you're here every day. What is it you're so adamant about? What are you praying about? What are you doing in this prayer time? And the digger replied, not much. I stare at him and he stares back at me. That was it. He's not in contemplation. He is in awe. He is just staring at God, not even thinking, not contemplating, not trying to figure something out, but just staring at God in his mind's eye, appreciating, loving. It's like that romance that you get with a person when you know them for a long time. Or maybe even you don't know them that long, but you're deep in love and you stare at them and they stare back. And so much is said and felt, though nothing said at all, right? That's a form of introspection and outrospection and prayer that is absolutely beautiful and tremendous and helpful when it comes to being at peace. Because if you're at peace, you don't have worry, right?
Mm-hmm.
Peace is without worry. If your mind is going a million miles an hour, you're, yes, you can be in a form of peace, but that isn't really peace. That's worrying, That's, I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to do that. Or, it could be about something fun, right? Oh, I really want to do that because that'll be cool. That's fine too. But if you could enter the state where your brain is not going crazy, you've found peace. And that peace is helpful when it comes to pretty much anything in life. Any problem can be solved better generally when you have a sense of peace. When you can be calm, when you can be collected, when you have that interior peace knowing that no matter what happens here, it's okay. I don't need to overdo things, right? I don't need to freak out. I can just do the things that need to be done and be satisfied with that, you know? So my whole point is, if you can find time for silence, get away from all the activity, get away from the entertainment, get away from the constant flow of media in your brain, whether it be schoolwork, and all the games or whatever it is. Find time alone by yourself where you enter that state of peace. And it's not going to come the first time you try. I can almost guarantee that. And how much time am I recommending you invest? You pick a number. A number that's a little bit higher than you want. And start there. Some people's 15 minutes. That's the kind of minimum recommendation. 15 minutes a day in silence, right? I'll do you a ton. In fact, they say that you tend to have a far more productive day if you start out your day with some silence and prayer, because it gets your head on straight before the rest of the day happens, right? So I'd recommend it. I can tell you this. When you give your brain too much stimulus, what happens is your brain, like they actually took photographs of the active parts of the brain, right? Where the neurons are being sent, which parts are lit up, where the activity is happening. They took the pictures of people who don't have too much stimulus and their brains were very bright and full all over. And then they took pictures of people who are overstimulated, constant entertainment, etc., right? And it looked like Swiss cheese. Holes, just pockets of no activity in their brain all over, just some lines going here and there, and it looked kind of disgusting. You can look up the pictures on pictures on Google. Yeah, I like Swiss cheese too.
Actually, I don't.
You don't? I do. So
anyway, sorry.
You can look up pictures on Google of this, and you will find them. Photographs of brain activity. I forget what the technical term is for overstimulated brains. And it's terrifying looking. So what happens is when we're overstimulated, our brains have to shut down because they react to something. They go, oh, wow, that's too much. So let's close this area of our brain off so we can't receive that anymore. So what you're doing is you're shutting down receptors in your brain all over, right? And as they close, less and less ability to feel joy, to feel anything is what you experience, right? Because it has to shut down. It has to shut down. You felt too much joy. There's no chemicals left to give you joy. And yet you keep on pumping those pieces of entertainment through or whatever it is that you expect joy from, but they're not giving it, right? And so you need time. Now, this is my recommendation to you. It's not a psychiatrist's recommendation, or a psychologist's recommendation. I don't know what they would say. This is my recommendation. Take some time and allow your brain to rest and to rebuild itself, and for your chemicals in your brain to rebuild themselves, add up, right? So that you have room, you have the chemicals and you have the receptors active to receive those joys again. So it was Princess's recommendation, but yes, I think take some time away. Personally, I think an hour is good every day, but that's for me. A lot of people start with 15 minutes. And I think that's good too. Whatever you can give, whatever you have time in your day for. A lot of people do it in the morning. They found that to be most helpful. But personally, I do it in the evening. Pick whatever works best for you. Try a couple different things, but put it into your schedule. Whether or not it has anything to do with how you're feeling, with your kind of indifference, your state of indifference, it will help you regardless in your life. It will. It will help you in your life regardless, just to have that time of silence and peace and self You know, it might start off with self-contemplation, which is very healthy. You need a lot of that in life. You need a lot more of that in life than you need of study, work, and so on. But we don't get that. So try to get some of that into your schedule. Anyways, Ryan, does it work to do it with physical journaling and writing? It's a great question.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great question. Yes and no, because it depends. Yes and no. Yes, because it's silent and it allows you to think and write down out loud. It's fantastic. It is a form of meditation, absolutely. But if your journaling becomes a situation where it isn't, if your journaling becomes too scientific, or what's the word? It doesn't allow you the freedom of full contemplation. If it's slowing you down, there are many reasons why not to do it, but it's only when you're running into issues. So I would say it's totally okay to do that. However, it is still different. I would say if you're going to do journaling while you're doing your silent, at least do half of it without journaling. And you let me know the difference. I think you will see one. But journaling is good. Journaling is good, and it is a form of silence and kind of what's the word? When you what's the word? When you kind of recoil into yourself, right?
It's good for self-dialogue.
Yeah, self-dialogue. There you go. Yeah. So try both. Try both pure silence and try journaling, and you can let me know how they work out. Try them a couple of times before you let me know, though, because they require for several tests, I would say. But anyways, I know I've talked for quite a while now on this. But I hope I drove my point home, Ash. I hope you'll give it a shot. I love you, Ash. I love you too. Hope you have an awesome night. But anyways, I'm gonna give her to Joe in case he's got anything to end with.
I would just say, Ash, if you're still here, awesome. If not, then I know you said you could watch a little later. But yes, I'm with Ryan. Take some time in silence. I know you said you have some reservations about silence. That yes, but with silence, your mind starts to wander. Then you get to thinking about things. Your brain attacks you. You overthink everything and break down. You look at the clock and it's 3 a.m. Contemplating leads to overthinking, which leads to breakdowns, which is why I don't like silence. And I can totally understand and relate to that. What you need to figure out how to do is silence the mental chatter. And that can take practice. The mental chatter can cause the breakdowns, right? It's like your brain starts attacking you, right? So this takes practice, and you might have to do it a little bit at a time. It might just take 1 minute to try this. Take 5 minutes to try this before you stop and, okay, that's my attempt for today. But
I like that. Yes. Start with 1 minute.
And then the whole idea is you're trying to clear your thoughts and focus on your breathing only. Focus on your inhaling, your exhaling, and the control of your breath. Focus on that. And then anytime a thought scampers across your mind, you can say, "Thank you. You're dismissed." And let that thought go. Actively let the thought go. And that can take a lot of practice to get to that point. But I'll tell you, it's a beautiful thing. It's a great reset to silence yourself. And meow, yes, journaling is a great thing to do. And I would do both, like Ryan was just saying. Take some time in silence. Also journal. Both of them.
Yes, both of them are very good.
Are very good, especially when you're trying to, when you are trying to make sense of your thoughts. You're trying to make sense of if whether you're depressed or not, you're trying to make sense of all this kind of stuff. Writing these things in a journal can be very, very helpful. It can help you clarify that. So, it looks like, Princess, did you have something you wanted to say about this?
Just a little bit.
Okay. Well,
Part
we're
of
going to
it
turn it over
is
to you,
seeing.
and you have a beautiful crown today, so this is going to be great.
Yeah, we're gonna make sure that we talk before she does when we're turning it over to her. We can't just give it over like super
I know,
fast,
you can't.
right?
You can't just do that.
Yeah, we
Sorry.
have to take our time to turn it over right there.
You're amazing,
Can I talk
Princess.
now?
Yes.
Please, could you start already? Sorry.
Yes, I can. It's all good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Much fun. One of the things that I see here when you say that, your mind starts to wander and then your brain attacks you and you have breakdowns. Usually if you're breaking down, then something's not right. And I know it can be hard, especially when physically the things around you in the physical world, sorry for touching my mic, everything around you is fine, but you don't feel that way. It doesn't mean that there's something not wrong because your environment's fine. You can be in a wonderful environment, but if your mental health, your mind isn't, that is still a legitimate problem. So I want you to know that, and that, the world around you might be okay or seem okay and everything seems to be fine, but you also might be perceiving some things and need to work through some things within you that might be spots where you haven't had care that you've needed to have to really understand what's breaking you down. And I know it's hard. It's really hard because it means you have to face the breakdowns, and you can't just break down and just be there. You have to break down and then stand back up to see what's going on. Even if it's just, you get your knee off the ground, you get yourself 1 inch, 1 centimeter closer. And at some point, if you're breaking down, something's not right? Generally, at least from what I've been, I was a very anxious person, and I had plenty of my own breakdowns in the silence and quietness of my room in the middle of the night, growing up. But once I finally got through a lot of the things that were troubling me and hurting me and pains and wounds I didn't know were there that I needed to take care of and heal, once I finally got through that and I then once again approached silence, the silence wasn't attacking me. It wasn't, something that ruined my day to be in silence. So that's just one concern that I would have from my own experiences with having trouble in silence. Sometimes that's a sign that you have deeper things there, whether you understand it or not, that are wounds that are affecting your heart, that are trying to tell you, hey, take care of me, I hurt. And if you just keep ignoring it, it's leaving an open wound that's waiting to be healed. So, and again, I don't know what your situation is. I don't know, what's going on. And it can be really hard, especially when everything seems fine, like, what is it? What is hurting me? It can be really hard to tell. So, but ignoring it or turning away from it or not, because it hurts, because it stinks, because it ruins your day or it ruins the next day or it makes it hard to sleep, it's just going to perpetuate because it's not being dealt with. And again, I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a professional in a ton of things other than potentially being a scientist, but not in the sense of, the brain or any of that sort of thing. But that would be the one thing that I would have concerns about, that maybe you don't recognize that there are things that you need to take care of. And that's why the silence is so painful. So I'm going to turn it back over. That was really all that I wanted to
Yeah, no,
add
that
on.
was perfectly said. I 100% back that up.
That was a great point.
Right.
That can be a really big red flag.
Mm-hmm.
If I can't handle the silence, if I'm starting to freak out a little bit, then yes, maybe there is something that needs to be addressed. And again, I'll go back to like what I said in the beginning. It would probably help you to find a counselor and have a few appointments just to make sure. Maybe it's nothing big, but maybe they can give you just that little bit of insight that's going to help you take care of the problem, you know? And better to do it before it becomes a severe issue and it starts, like in my case, when it started to mess with my day-to-day functioning. I mean, I think I remember when I told Ryan about this. And I was like, hey man, like this is actually starting to get to be a problem. Like I can't really function if I have to use my brain. You know, and I told him and I told another close friend of mine, Paul, and I was like, I don't know if he's like, how's your prayer life? And I was like, it stinks. He's like, well, you're probably mentally ill.
Yeah.
Because, you know, physical, spiritual, and mental, we have these three components of our being, and all three of them are connected. And if one of them has a problem, it will affect the other two.
It's like a chair with three legs.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
shorten one of the legs. See how you set on it.
You're gonna fall. Yeah.
It doesn't work all that great. You're just like, what? So yeah, and actually he said that it was very interesting because he's kind of like more of a spiritual. He's the guy that taught RCIA when I went through it, right? And so we have a lot of talks about, you know, theological and spiritual stuff. And he's like, how's your prayer life? And I'm like, well, I'm having a real struggle. And so he asked about all the other stuff going on in my life. And he's like, well, remember that you've got three components. You've got mind, body, and spirit here. You know, you're not out of shape, like necessarily. And I know you get physical activity, you know, and so that's okay. But he said the best thing. He was like, if you break your arm and you're in constant pain and all you can think about is your arm being broken, you're going to have a hard time praying too. So if you have a mental struggle.
Yeah, your only prayer is like, God, my arm.
Right, exactly. My arm really hurts. Take this pain away. Why are you taking my pain away? You suck. Like,
yeah.
But anyway, so those are some things to keep in mind. So if you're having a mental struggle, there could be a spiritual issue that's affecting that. There could be a physical issue that's affecting that. Right? I know some people who have had real mental struggles and it turns out there was an actual physical, like they had some problem with some gland somewhere. And the thing that tipped them off was they were having this mental struggle. Right? So there are all kinds of things. We're a composite being with multiple dimensions. We are a multiverse in and of ourselves. Right? But anyway, Ash, you're awesome. And for you to take notice of this is incredible. And I appreciate you asking. But again, you know, like we say at the beginning, we are not professional counselors or therapists. And in this particular case, you know, it might be good to at least talk to him a couple times and zero in on it, so you'll know how to take care of it before it becomes a bigger problem and out of control. And then you have a whole lot of backtracking to do and a bunch of shoveling to do to get yourself back out. So, yeah. Anyway, that's all. Ryan, back to you.
Awesome. I think that basically wraps it up. Thank you so much, Ash. This is a great topic. Hope that everybody learned something. Comes out a better person from this. You know, that's why we do Don't Worry Wednesdays. It's so cool. This is a great topic again because it touches on something everybody can relate to. I think, you know, one way or another, we've all experienced these ups and downs, and to be able to identify them or at least try different things to help them out, and at least get some different perspectives or see what other people have done in the past. It's all great stuff. So thanks, Ash. This is a great topic. Love you. And the rest of you, I love you guys as well. You're all fantastic. Thanks for being in the chat. Thanks for lurking, for those who lurked. And thank you, Joe and Princess, for making the show awesome. I can't hear Joe.
Thank you for making the show awesome.
Too. Yeah, Joe's muted now, suddenly. Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, still can't hear him.
It's just silent, which is fun. Well, that's okay. They can probably hear you. We probably can't. No? Oh,
Nope, they can't.
Okay.
That's okay. We can still wrap up the show.
Yeah. All right. We don't need him to come back to say goodbye. Goodbye, everybody. We love you all. I speak on behalf of Joe and me.
We couldn't have the show without your support. So.
That's right. You guys are awesome. Thanks for sponsoring us. You guys. Bye-bye. Peace. Much love. Cut.